And today we are going to be going into the Asia Pacific cars. First, we're going to start with Toyota. Toyota is a very famous company, especially when it comes to YouTubers like Scotty Kilmer. Now, he is a lover of Toyota, and I like a few Toyotas as well. So, of course, they've got their regular street cars, so we can just skip by most of these. They're just regular street cars until we get to the 1997 Toyota Supra. It only has 325 horsepower, but it's got 392 feet-pound of torque. That is a lot of torque. And this car is probably one of the most famous Toyotas that you'll ever see. First off, the look is iconic. Secondly, absolutely amazing. I will be reviewing this car in further detail in the future. However, we are moving on. Next, we've got the GR.MN. I'm going to call this a Scion because that's just basically what it looks like and probably exactly what it is. Next, we have the Toyota Tundra. Now in this game, Gran Turismo Sport, this is the truck that will go up against the Ford Raptor, and personally, I'm a Raptor guy. I am. And I would like to see this truck go head-to-head against the Ford Raptor. So we might just do that in a future video. Now we're going over to the Crown Elites and other street cars until we get over to the Toyota Sports 800. This is their classic car. It's got 43 horsepower, so nothing crazy about this car. And then we're going over to the racing concept car. To me, this just looks like another Scion, but again, does have some pretty good horsepower, 349 horsepower, but the weight is up there at 2,500 pounds. Now we're just basically going over to essentially what I like to call a BMW. This is the brand new Toyota Supra RZ, or RZ if you're American. I'm going to say it's a really fun car to drive, but I haven't driven one yet. I would actually like to put this car up against the old Supra in this game in a future video. So look forward to that. Hit that like button and subscribe. We've got another Toyota Supra here, and between these cars, one's an N300 car, the next one is an N400, and it's got a bit more horsepower. We're going to have to try and figure out which Supra to put up against the classic Supra. So stay tuned for that. This is a 1967 Toyota 2000 GT. Again, old car, and there's other cars from other manufacturers that are faster and better around corners. So if you're looking for a fun car to drive, this might be it. But again, not a real race car when it comes to the classics versus other classics that are in this game. Now we're getting into the Toyota race cars. We got the Toyota 86 as well as the FT1 Vision car, which has 544 horsepower. And then we're moving over to the rally cars. And with the rally car, that's first off, really cool car. But again, 500 horsepower for a rally car, that is going to be a ton of fun. Now, moving over to the racing concept. This is basically a wide-bodied Toyota Supra, and it's got some power. So that looks like a heck of a lot of fun. It's a GR3 car. Now we're getting into the GRX type cars. This has unknown horsepower, unknown torque. But it's a $500,000. Would be interesting to see what it's like. Now we're getting into other race cars by Toyota. They're hybrids, and they rev way up to 10,000 RPM and 7,800 RPM. That would be insane amounts of fun. Now we're moving on to another Vision car. That one looks cool, I'm not going to lie. Moving over to Nissan. Nissan, we've got some really good looking cars and then some average cars. So if you're into the average cars, well, they've got some really nice average cars, but really nothing up until you get to the GTRs. And this is the GTR. 336 horsepower. Going over to a newer GTR, going up to 564 horsepower, 591 horsepower, and now we're getting into the race style GTRs. This one is 428 horsepower. It's a GR4 car. Moving up to the GR3 car, it's got 542 horsepower, and I'm going to say that hood looks amazing. There's also a GTR rally car, believe it or not. So if you're into rally racing, this might be the car for you. I would love to put this car up against my pick for the rally car, and that is the Mustang, so we might just do that in a future video. They've got some Nismo cars. This one's got 492 horsepower. This GTR is a GR2 car, and it's got 612 horsepower. And now we're getting into the actual true race cars. This is a 92 car, 900 horsepower. And then there's the GTR Nismo race car, which is 604 horsepower. The great thing with this car is the weight. It's down to 1,900 pounds. So weighs barely anything with a crap ton of horsepower. Now their vision car is, of course, a concept 2020 car. Looks very similar to a GTR with some crazy body kit. I like it. Unknown torque, unknown horsepower. That's just how it has to be. Moving over to Honda. Honda's got some average cars. And then we get up to the Integras. My cousin had an Integra. Not that bad of a car. Kind of a fun car to drive. Moving up to the S2000. This is the car that almost every import lover wants to buy someday. I seen one the other day when I was driving around town in my Mustang. I think they look cool. Then there's the Civic. I used to have a Civic. I had a 93 Civic Si. It was a lot of fun. Not gonna knock it. The thing had some crazy, wacky alignment issues. I got in an accident, and it fixed the alignment issue after getting into an accident. So that car had like 400,000 kilometers on it. Could have still kept on going. The accident helped to get straightened out, which was fantastic, but had it taken off the road, sadly. Then there's the S800. It's got 68 horsepower. The NSX, which is another car that is very famous, coming from Asia, from Japan. And this car's got 284 horsepower. We used to look up to this car when I was a kid, thinking that was the coolest thing ever, but now really looking at it, 280 horsepower. Back then was a good amount of power, but these days, when you can get a standard 4-cylinder Mustang that's got more power than that, it's a lot different times we live in these days. And then there's the Honda Project. This one's interesting, 200 horsepower, and the weight is 890 pounds. That's something different right there, eh? Now going over to the newer NSX. This is a car that I would say not to buy in this game. The handling sucks. Then we're getting into the GR4, also the GR3 that has 568 horsepower. Now there's the rally car that they have as well, based off the newer NSX. Would be interesting to see how that one performs on the rally track, because the street car does not handle at all, no matter what I do to it. 557 horsepower. What an interesting car. And then this is one of their race cars. 500 horsepower, and the weight is 2,500 pounds, so it's quite interesting. And of course, their concept, $800,000 in the game for 600 horsepower, 400 feet-pound of torque. It's a great car. It's an interesting car. Never drove it, however. And this is their Vision car. Quite interesting. Looks similar to a Civic and an NSX, kind of smashed together into one car. It's got 400 horsepower and 1900 pounds, which should allow it to accelerate quite quickly. Rotary power, yeah, Mazda. Anyways, so here's the Mazda lineup. We got some street cars, kind of basic, 100 to 200, 300 horsepower. Now we're getting into their race style cars. They've got the Roadster touring car, which is 200 horsepower, and it's quite light, so that would be actually quite fun to drive, in my opinion. Actually, do they have the Miata? They do. That is the car I want to someday put a Mustang 5-liter engine, twin turboed, with a crazy transmission, with crazy just everything. I want to get that motor up to like 12 or 1300 horsepower and something that weighs 2,000 pounds. It's going to be fantastic someday. I cannot wait. Someday that's going to happen. And now the GR3 is 567 horsepower. Moving up to the concept. That car looks sick. That actually looks like the body kit that I'm going to put on my Mazda Miata whenever I get one. 560 horsepower, kind of a cool car. This one, in my opinion, looks really, really dumb, but I know there's somebody out there who likes it. So I'm not going to say too much. All I'm going to say is it's $500,000 for 240 horsepower. Next is a race style car, 790 horsepower from 1991. Really interesting. There's their Vision car, GR1, $1 million, 600 horsepower, 640 horsepower, 1900 pounds. That car, I bet, gets up there in speed quickly. This is another Vision car, if not the same. Yeah, this is the different one. This is the one that has an unknown amount of power. Moving over to Subaru, the Imprezas. My cousin has an Impreza. They're great cars. These are just regular street cars. Now we're moving into more of their race cars, 570 horsepower, 370. Now this one is insane. 1,000 horsepower, 875 feet-pound of torque. Hey Ethan, if you're watching this video, this is what you need to do to your Subaru. Anyways, $400,000. That looks sick. WRX. Now, that, in my opinion, looks even better. That is a car that I wouldn't mind owning in real life someday. And, of course, my go-to rally car in Gran Turismo 3. The Subaru rally car. Absolutely fantastic. I need to get that car in this game. And this is their Vision car, 630 horsepower for $1 million. Looks kind of cool. I like it. Any car that's boxy, I like. Now, Mitsubishi, there's the Lancers. These are kind of cool cars. I used to really like the Evos, which is this car. They're all kind of really cool cars, 500 horsepower. Their rally car is 500 horsepower as well. We should do a head off and see what the top 3 rally cars are in this game. Now, their racing concept is a car that I currently own in this game. I really like it. However, I picked the Mustang over it. Daihatsu has one car, 62 horsepower, nothing special. They also have a Vision car, has 146 horsepower, and it's $1 million. There's much better cars to spend your money on. Now we're getting into Lexus, the expensive version of Toyota. These are all basically Toyotas that are very expensive. But at least in the game, they have more power, which is huge. RCF GT3, RCF GT3, GR3. This one's the freight racing livery on this car. Now we've got the SC430, which has 487 horsepower. And then this car, the AU Toms, I have no idea. Anyways, it's got 600 horsepower. Not bad for 800,000 in this game. Their Vision car has 600 horsepower. It's worth $1 million. And when it comes to looks, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I really like that car. I think it looks cool. Moving over to the Gran Turismo cars. Yes, the Gran Turismo cars I have a lot of. My favorite car out of them all is this 1967 Chevy Nova. You can race in crazy races with this car. Its handling is horrible, but it's there. And then there's the Mach 40. It's a custom car, but it's basically a Mustang. And it's worth $300,000, and it's got 780 horsepower. I like that car. I really like this one as well. Not as much power. Then there's the Gran Turismo Red Bull X 2014 Junior. Don't own it, but the power isn't there for the price. But some races you may just need to have it. And then there is kind of like an F1 car, I guess. Crazy amounts of power in this car, though, especially for the weight. So that would be a lot of fun to drive. And then they have the Gran Turismo Red Bull, the standard X 2014 car. This one's worth $3 million. Crazy amounts of money in this game. And then they have the X 2019. This is the one to get if you're looking to run in those type of races. And then there's Suzuki. Suzuki has not many cars in this game. They only have one. It's got 123 horsepower and it's worth $16,000. Not too sure who would buy this car in this game. You may just get stuck with it after they give it to you for free. Not too sure, but you'll probably never use it. And then there's two Super Formula cars. They both are $1 million, both the exact same specs and the exact same car. Just different liveries. That's it. Now this is basically an RX-7, and I think it looks really cool, in my own opinion. It's an N400 car worth $100,000, 366 horsepower, and it's only, that's a lot heavier than I thought it was, 2,700 pounds, but I like the looks of it. And last but not least, Hyundai, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. Anyways, there's the Genesis. It's a street car, 340 horsepower. Another Genesis, but this is a GR4 car, 380 horsepower. These are quite heavy cars for what they are. This is another Genesis. It's a GR3 car. Now, this is their rally car. I own it. I've never actually driven it. This is one of those cars that they give you for free. And I personally, it's my own kind of thing. I like the Mustang rally car the best. And then they have the Vision car. This is one of the cars I have driven quite a lot, actually, way too much than I should. 640 horsepower and a good amount of torque, four-wheel drive. It's a lot of fun. Anyways, I hope that you have enjoyed today's video. This is the Asia Pacific cars in Gran Turismo Sport. If you have enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, so maybe we can buy some of these cars in real life. Anyways, I'll see you guys again in the next one.